Before we get going on this little hack, I want to put a plug in for one of my favorite tools. This is called an IsoTip Solder Pro 120. It's a butane soldering iron. Now, there's a lot of copycat things out there that don't work. I've tried probably 4 or 5 of them, and they're all crap. They don't work very well. The one that I found that really does the job is the IsoTip Solder Pro 120. They're not cheap. They come with a variety of tips,
and you can
different sizes of soldering tips, and it comes with a little blowtorch tool, so it's like a little miniature heat gun. Or if you just want a flame, it'll act like a little torch. So that makes a really nice torch. I can't tell you how many different times I use this thing, but it's one of the tools I use more than anything else is this little solder gun. And it gets hot enough to do high temperature silver solder. It gets just as hot as this Weller. And you know, a regular corded solder iron is great. The problem is the 120, and it takes a lot of amps, so it's not something you can hook up to a little 300 watt inverter. You have to have the real inverter going, and it takes a lot of energy. These work great, but you don't always have the ability, and this you can take anywhere on the boat. You can take to somebody else's boat, and you know you have something that's going to work. So, IsoTip Solder Pro 120s. Get one of these. These are cool. Now, we have a problem. How do you fill this thing? You fill it with butane, but how? You fill it with butane fuel from a lighter refiller, just like for a butane lighter. It's a piece of cake, you put it in the top, and you put it in. The butane goes in. It's great. The problem is, this stuff can be hard to come by, and it's expensive. These, on the other hand, are not as expensive. They're about 2/3 of the price, maybe half the price.
And it's the same fuel.
It's the same fuel.
It's
right?
butane. It just, one has the plastic tip for
to fill a lighter, and the other has a tip for a stove. But the question is, how do you get the cheaper butane fuel, which sometimes is available, even here in the Bahamas. I've seen this available. I've never seen this, right? This tip does not go in here. It just
doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit. It's way too big for this little tiny hole. So the question is, how do we make an adapter to go from here to here so I can use the fuel I can actually get? One of the things that we do on the boat on a regular basis is we discuss how can we fix something with only what we have available on the boat. So, these are little tiny butt connectors to hook 2 wires together. They are the glue type, so they're filled with glue, and the shrink type. So you put these on 2 wires, you put 1 wire in each end, you know, you put 1 wire in that end, you put 1 wire in the other, you crimp them down in the center, and then you heat them up.
With a heat gun.
With a heat gun, with one of these, and it shrinks to the wire, providing a waterproof connection between your wires. This is the type of connector that you want to use on a boat. Do not get the kind that don't have glue in them. Get the kind with glue in them so you can get a good airtight seal. But this is what I'm going to make my adapter out of. If you notice, this almost fits on here, but not quite. And it's just a little bit too long, so I want to get it right up against the metal so that when I press it in,
the metal will press.
The metal presses on there. So I got to find something laying around the boat that's the same size as that. And guess what I found? This. It's the same size. We're going to heat this up. There we go.
And now we have one that fits on one side.
Yep, now we have one that fits. I'm going to shrink this a little bit more. Now we have to cut a little bit of this off. And as you can see, it doesn't leak. So I have one to go on this end. Now we have to get something that will fit in the end of here. After looking around on the boat, I have one of these. Now it looks like it's close to the right size. Almost, but not quite. Needs to be just a tad bit bigger. This is a little tester, but you could use a nail. I just found something that will go in the end of it. This is gonna split. I know it, it's gonna split. Let's heat this up a little bit. There we go. Now if I press that in here. Okay, so now we have an end that will fit. Now I should be able to put that in there
And heat shrink it?
and heat shrink it together. Let's make sure our end is still okay. Ow! I think it's working.
Well, let's let that cool off the rest of the way.
We'll cool it off right away. Hey!
And if we've done this right,
Okay, check that. And she's filling, look at that. Here we go. So we now have a filler for one of the cheap butane cans right there. Ah, you know what we could do? What if, because these work better obviously. What if I keep these cans, look, these are aluminum, they're not gonna rust away like this is gonna rust away, this tin can. So now, if I use one of these refillable fillable cans, and I make it refillable, I need to be able to go from here into here. So that means we don't need this little red tip. Okay, let me get another one of these. If I want to go from here, I should be able to refill the empty one with a full one. We know what size this is. This just happens to be that size. And now what size is this? It's a little bit bigger than that. It's a little bit bigger than that. Yeah, look at that.
the blowtorch ought not to melt the solder immediately if you're careful.
At least not immediately. Okay, so I think if we do this and we heat both sides, we'll have something that fits between both. What do you think?
Probably.
There we go. Okay. Now, this should go on here. And it does. And this should go on here. And it does. Okay, so. Look at that. You can see the bubbles going in. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, this one's getting warm and this one's getting cold. It's working. So I can refill. There you go. So you can refill the aluminum container. So there you go. So now you can refill with one of these into one of those.
And all it took was one of those. You wouldn't even need the glue ones if you were making it at home. The glue ones are better.
I think it seals better.
The glue ones seal better, but theoretically you wouldn't need one of the glue ones to get a good seal.
So, there you have it. We can refill a lighter can from a camping stove can, and you can fill a lighter or your iso tip with a camping stove can.
With just a little bit of WD-40 straw and
a couple of wire butt end connectors.
If you like the video you've just seen and you would like to see more, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Let's put butane on it and cool it off. Not. Well, this is hard to get off.
yeah, let's be careful. You don't want to.
Yeah. I don't want to break the tip off. Come on, you. Get off of there.